Hello everyone, and welcome back to another video on the Stats YouTube channel. As you could tell by the title, today we're going to be looking at Solon Invitational. There are some really major takeaways, I think. And Yeah, let's get started. First, though, I wanted to say a few things. As some of you might know, I did end up making the trip to Solon. I drove the 4 hours there, spent maybe, I don't know, 6 or 7 hours going around interviewing teams and, just having a good time. Uh, and, um, yeah, I met quite a few of you there. So if I met you there, shout out to you. You guys are awesome. Um, but yeah, I'm back now. It was quite an exhausting drive back. And also, I will admit something. I don't know how to edit. I don't know how to edit videos. The very minor editing that I've been doing on this channel and some of my videos, just like cutting some certain sections out of some of my recordings here, is pitiful. And obviously, that's not going to be enough editing knowledge, and I'm going to need a different editing software to stitch together all of the different clips that I have from that day. So I hope that video will be out, my Solon vlog, and that'll have all the interviews and my awards ceremony commentary. Okay, thank you for that, school bus. I don't know if you could hear that on the video, but a school bus just drove past. Anyway, yeah, my Solon vlog will have all of my trip there and the interviews and my awards commentary, all of that in one video. I hope to have that out by the end of the week, but like I said, I have no editing experience, so I really don't know how long it will take to get that video out. So yeah, I'm just gonna tentatively say by the end of the week, maybe over the weekend. I might make another video this week other than the Solon vlog. I'll give you an update there on the timeline for that. Yeah, let's get into this. Also, I want to apologize. I kind of look like crap right now. I really usually try to shave and brush my hair and stuff before videos, but I think that and I've been pretty busy over the past day since I got back because I had to push all my work back to Sunday so that I could go to Solon on Saturday. That's what I spent all of yesterday doing. So I didn't really have time to look after myself. Yeah, let's get into this, right? The whole reason I look like crap is because I felt that this video was really important to do right now. So yeah, Solon. Let's look at my predictions first. You can see I have that's up here. And my coding system, my coloring system, you can see down here. If I got the prediction within ±1, I labeled it green. ±2, I labeled it yellow. And anything worse than that, I labeled red. And things that are green and bolded are things that I got spot on. So not only was it within ±1, but also, like, for example, Stevenson got exactly third place in anatomy. I got that spot on. So scrolling through here, you can see still quite a lot of red. I do think I'm getting better at this, though, especially with the overall team predictions. This was decently accurate with, some exceptions here, both good and bad exceptions down there. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But yeah, looking over here at the results from Solon, again, it's always a struggle finding a place to put this where it's not in the way. I'll put it over here for now. So yeah, looking at the results from Solon did indeed take first. Of course, like I've been saying, they didn't take their own first place trophy. That would be kind of silly. But when they were added in post, they did beat Seven Lakes by not an insurmountable margin, but a decently sized margin. Seven Lakes taking second. Cumberland Valley taking third. There are some asterisks there, kind of. But yeah, overall, Cumberland Valley taking third. Mason's best team took fourth. Nutrier took fifth. Marquette took sixth. Stevenson's best team took seventh. And then we get into Mason and Stevenson's other teams, and then Centerville took ninth. Oh, and DuPont, by the way, taking 13th. Troy, one of the big um, losers at this tournament, in my opinion. Sorry if you're from Troy, uh, taking 17th, far below what I predicted. Um, so yeah, I said there were some asterisks on CV's win here. That's because CV was stacked. Mason and surprisingly enough, Stevenson were unstacked. So when you super score them, both of those teams beat Cumberland Valley. But still, that would put Cumberland Valley in fifth, beating New Trier and Marquette. Marquette, there is a bit of an asterisk on this as well. I was told again by my friend Sentient Tree on Discord. Thank you, Sentient Tree, that Marquette only sent like half a team to this tournament. And in fact, when the Solon vlog comes out, you'll notice. I said that Marquette was one of the only teams that I couldn't get an interview with because that not because they didn't want an interview, but because they were just too busy. Their coach was at an event all day, and because they only sent half their team, like everyone was fully booked on events. And Sentient Tree also said that almost all the events that they bombed were events that they were missing people in. So, yeah, I don't think it's completely fair to 100% exclude those events and rank teams based on events that Marquette had, their best people in. But it certainly is a disadvantage for Marquette. Even accounting for that, this is still an incredible placement. Beating Stevenson's second team and Mason's second team as well, beating DuPont. This is Stevenson's first team. Sorry. So yeah, beating both of Stevenson's teams, pretty impressive. Beating two of Mason's teams, beating Centerville, DuPont, all pretty impressive here. Pretty impressive performance from Marquette considering their circumstances. So now let's talk about Cumberland Valley, shall we? Yeah, this was probably the biggest thing that I got wrong here. And that's a little surprising. As some of you might know, I'm Cumberland Valley alumni, so of course I'm going to be a little biased towards them. But even I was pretty harsh in my predictions. I predicted they would do well in some events here. Some of which came through, others didn't. But a lot of these events that I didn't rank them in, they ended up doing very, very well in. If we look, for example, at air trajectory, Cumberland Valley took fifth in air trajectory at this tournament. I didn't even have them ranked here. So really impressive and quite the improvement in that event. And if we just scroll through here, I mean, there's still some events that, they don't medal in. Flights was a bit interesting. As I understand it, there were special circumstances about the gym at MIT that allowed Cumberland Valley to do well in flight there. So not quite gaining the same placement that they did at MIT, but again, a bunch of their other build events did fantastically. Witty, of course, always a problem for competitive teams. But yeah, really, other than flight and Witty and like maybe disease detectives, not too many bombs here. Again, there are some events that they didn't medal in. I would define a bomb for a competitive team at this tournament as either like below 15th, maybe below 20th, maybe same as MIT. If you say it's below 20th, then they only had two bombs. Yes, only two bombs. And below 15th, I'd say maybe five or so, maybe even less. Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, and Witty 5. Yeah. So even if you define it as 15 or less, then or yeah, 15 or more, I should say, then Cumberland Valley, not too many bombs, which is of course very good. So obviously, I'm trying to hold off on showing you my updated national rankings. I'm not sure how much longer I can do that, though, considering I don't really know if there's too much to talk about on this slide. Seven Lakes doing fantastically. Yeah, I mean, some bombs here. Again, if you define 15th or lower as bombs, they got two here. I think I will go 15th or lower for competitive teams. Yeah, not too many bombs for Seven Lakes. Very, very good. Solon. If we look at Solon, again, air trajectory, I would define as a bomb. XD, I would define as a bomb. And optics. Man, what happened in optics for Solon? Let's do a quick search here. Let's see if this is an event that they're traditionally not great at. First at Ohio State. Oh yeah, here we go. 10th and 12th at North Mount. Mason kicks their butt here. Northview getting 4th and 2nd. Centerville beating them here as well as Mason. Yeah, so this looks like an event that they haven't been the best at. Still though, 40th is not exactly where you want to be if you're Solon in optics. Robot Tour as well, not great. Barely avoided a bomb in Witty, but ultimately they got a lot of first places, and a lot more medals even. So that led to their amazing team score here. Let's talk about the super scores real quick. Mason, when you super score them, if you took the super score at face value, you would put them in first, and by quite a margin as well. Quite a big margin. I hesitate to do that. I think Mason is a very good team, but I don't think they're better than Seven Lakes or Solon. I do think they're better than Cumberland Valley, so I would put them ahead of CV. I think between Seven Lakes and Mason, it could be close, considering the super score. The other thing to consider is Mason did bring 3 teams. And when you super score the 3 teams, this is the theory anyway. When you super score 3 or hypothesis, I should say, when you super score 3 teams, I think it actually overestimates their team score, sometimes by quite a bit. Because what will often happen when you super score 3 teams, like here in air trajectory, perfect example, one of Mason's rosters got 18th, one of them got 12th, and then one of them got 6th. When you super score, you completely ignore those other 2 poor performances and just take the really good one. Let's see if I can find another event. Yeah, so here in astronomy, an even better example, one of Mason's rosters got 43rd, the other one 26th, and then their best one got 5th. You only take the 5th place with super scores. And the likelihood, when you stack your roster, the likelihood of having all of these best people, the people that do well in air trajectory, and the people that do well in astronomy, and the people that do well in chem lab and code and detector and disease, the likelihood of having all your best people in all of the events on one roster is very, very low. So there is that to consider with super scores. And Stevenson super scored again, beats Cumberland Valley by a decent margin. Doesn't quite beat Seven Lakes. I do think that is where, if they were stacked, I think that's where they would place. They would have beaten Cumberland Valley, but probably not Seven Lakes and certainly not Solon. Mason versus Stevenson, I think I'd give that matchup to Mason. And I think, there is one more thing I can talk, well, 2 more things, I guess. DuPont coming back to Solon for, I only went back to 2020 here. I know they attended in 2020. I don't know if they attended before that, probably. But coming back to Solon and dipping a little bit. I mentioned actually dipping quite a bit. Sorry, DuPont. They were really nice to me when I interviewed them too. So it pains me to say this, but yeah, dipping quite a bit. Yeah, they've been trending up, and this year they went back down to between 12th and 14th. Here they got 13th. Yep, that's how numbers work. So yeah, I mean, you can see a couple events they do pretty well in, but yeah, for the most part, for competitive teams, quite a few bombs. Non-competitive teams, I would say a bomb would be like 30th or lower, maybe 40th or lower. Yeah, probably 40th or lower for non-competitive teams. DuPont, I think, is kind of on the edge there between competitive and non-competitive. If you define a bomb for non-competitive teams as 40th or lower, then they only have like 2 maybe. Yeah, so there would be 1 and 2. Yeah, so but 30th or lower, you can see just by scrolling through here. There's like 3 more, so 5. So maybe 30th or lower is fair for non-competitive teams. But yeah, DuPont's not doing quite as great as I expected. And the real loser here is Troy. Again, it kind of pains me to say this because they were really nice when I interviewed them. But yeah, not doing very well here. Again, there are a couple events that they really excel at, but a lot of bombs, especially if you consider them a competitive team. Um, yeah, that's not a great performance from Troy. Saline, in fact, beats them by not the biggest margin, but that's again a decently sized margin. Um, and I mean, Saline even fewer medals, but very likely fewer bombs. I'm not going to go through here and count the number of bombs. So you get the point. I think I added this to here. Yeah. So Michigan, I have Troy ranked behind Saline. I do think Michigan sends two teams. So Troy might still be on track to go to nationals. We haven't seen anything from the Michigan State champion. Grand Haven is the Michigan State champion. Uh, Here we go. They got 13th last year at nationals. Very good. Um, and yeah, if we look at, I think, was it Saline from Michigan last time? Pioneer from Michigan, actually. I think we have them. Yeah, we have them here. And super scored Pioneer does actually beat Saline and Troy. They were unstacked here, very likely. Pioneer, I think, doing very well in quite a few build events. Um, yeah, like they got first in flight, third in forestry. Kind of interesting. You don't really consider Pioneer to be a forestry powerhouse, but third in forestry certainly very good. Um, Scrambler sixth, second in Robot Tour. Yeah, seventh in Tower. So pretty good at build events. Not much else though. First in DP though. That's pretty impressive. Um, but yeah, so I would. You know what? Let's make this change now so I don't forget. Let's put Pioneer as first. So I think at this point, yeah, I'm not the best speller, as you can tell by my Marquette spelling in the previous couple videos. Yeah, all right, that's right. So yeah, I would put Pioneers first. Again, we haven't seen anything from Grand Haven yet. I don't know if they do the Shady Side strategy, where Shady Side's middle school like doesn't attend any invitationals, or they used to anyway. I don't know what they're doing now, but they used to not really attend any invitationals, and then they would just show up at states and do amazingly. Like I don't. I didn't really understand how, considering they weren't getting invitation practice. But Grand Haven might have a similar strategy, not really attending invitationals, at least none that I can find. And just to make sure we don't have anything from Grand Haven yet. And then just showing up at states and doing really well. So without further ado, let's look at my updated nationals rankings here. So yeah, Troy from Michigan moving out of In Pursuit. I moved them to keep an eye on. I have Grand Haven in here in case they attend any invitationals. I don't have any Michigan teams in here now. Yeah, if you remember, I think I actually, in the first iteration of this, I think I actually had Troy as in 10th place here. Yeah, they've fallen quite a bit. Or I mean, we have more data now on other good teams. Like we didn't have data on Harriton or Westminster or Mountain View. Like at the time, Monta Vista was outperforming Mountain View. Or William G. Enloe or Nutra. We only had like one data point on them, and it was like only their ninth graders, I think. So yeah, Troy fell off a little bit here, but let's look at what teams moved up. So I moved Thomas Jefferson down. We haven't really since Soaps. Their performance is still very good at Soaps. See if I can. Here we go. Performance still very good at Soaps. Again, if you take the super score at face value, like they beat Cumberland Valley, and they beat Carmel and Lower Marion. I'm not sure how accurate this super score is because again, you have the same kind of problems. Like one roster did it really well in air trajectory, and then the other bombed, and then the same story for actually almost all of these events. It looks like like here in Eco, like one bombed and then one did really well. There are some events where both rosters didn't do that great, but yeah, if you look, very few events where both rosters medal in. So definitely some of that effect going on here with Thomas Jefferson. I think I overrated them just a little bit here, so they fell a little bit. Nutrier moving up, moving ahead of Thomas Jefferson. Nutrier's performance, I didn't really talk about this Nutrier here, probably doing a little bit worse than they did at MIT. Again, super scored Stevenson, beats them. They beat Stevenson at MIT. I think, I mean, I would say I would keep them over Stevenson. How much did they beat Stevenson by at MIT? Let's just look at this real quick. 405, and okay, so not the biggest gap. Not super small though either. Um, oh man, I don't know. That's tough. That is tough. It's so weird because okay, I'm in this like rock paper scissors, circle like cycle here. Like Cumberland Valley beat Nutrier. Like they're both stacked. No, to the best of my knowledge, no weird stuff went on with either of these two teams. They just beat Nutrier outright by a pretty big margin too. Um, then at MIT, Nutrier, of course, beat Cumberland Valley by a very big margin. But again, more recent, similar level of competitiveness, not quite as competitive as MIT, of course, but still should be very good tests, very, very good level of competition here. So CV just beat Nutrier. Nutrier beat Stevenson at MIT. And then Stevenson super scored beats Nutrier here. Again, I'm not entirely sure how accurate the super score is. And then Stevenson super scored beats Cumberland Valley. So it's weird because Nutrier beats Stevenson at MIT, then Stevenson super scored beats Nutrier. Man, if Stevenson was stacked, that would make this a whole lot easier. But unfortunately, they weren't. Now we're just kind of approximating here. So I really don't know where this matchup goes. It could be Nutrier beats Cumberland Valley in most competitions, and at Solon they just had a really bad day. So let's talk about Marquette and Carmel, which probably should be highlighted. Highlight just means it changed. Carmel moved down by proxy. Marquette moved up here. Again, I'm accounting, even though it looks like Cumberland Valley, beat Marquette pretty badly here. I'm accounting for the fact that Marquette only had half their team there. I do think they move up, maybe not into the top 10, but I'm going to put them there for now. Barely ahead of Carmel. I have these italicized because I'm not entirely sure. I don't really see Stevenson moving into the top 10. And likewise, I don't really see Marquette falling to Stevenson's place or below Cumberland Valley necessarily. But like Carmel could be still in the top 10. They could be down here where Stevenson is. Stevenson could be just barely out of the top 10. It's really tough between these teams. And yeah, Syosset and Acton Boxborough still have that tie. I should do something to delineate the fact that this is a tie. We'll color this red. There we go. Yeah, tie there, and also a tie between Mason and Mountain View. Again, I really hesitate to move Mason ahead of Syosset, despite their amazing super scored result here. Again, I think that's probably a little overestimated. And Syosset just beat Mason at MIT. How big was this gap? Again, pretty decent sized gap there, almost 50 points. So I hesitate to move Mason any higher than what is this, 6th place? It seems a little weird considering their fantastic super score here. But again, I think that super score is quite overestimated. Yeah, so I think that's all I want to talk about with Solon. Centerville, I guess we can talk about Centerville a little bit. Centerville really not performing quite to my expectations. What did I have them predicted? So I had them predicted as 7th. They got 9th. I think this should be, this should be yellow. I wasn't that bad. But yeah, Centerville. Centerville not quite performing as well as we expected. Maybe once once you super score like Mason and Stevenson and take their other teams out of it, I think they do move up to 7th or 8th. So maybe about where I expected. I don't know. We're just going off non super scored results, just ranking these teams. like they are on here. So the big question then is, so I think the big takeaway here is for Cumberland Valley. You know, I moved them out of In Pursuit. I had them in like 15th place before MIT. I moved them out of In Pursuit to keep an eye on after MIT, after their what I perceived as a poor performance from them at MIT. And now I moved them back. I moved them back into In Pursuit. Right now I have them in 13th. That might be a little overestimated. Again, I am a Cumberland Valley alumni, so maybe a little bit biased there. But really, the question we have to ask ourselves now is which of these tournaments um, is accurate? Which of these tournaments better reflects Cumberland Valley's ability to compete? Because if it's MIT, like I said, I would keep them out of In Pursuit. Probably still, well, all right, I'll talk about that if we have time at the end here. But I'd move them in to keep an eye on. And if we go off of Solon, I would maybe move them ahead of Stevenson, but I'd have them about where they are. And I do think we should go with Solon. And here's why. You haven't seen the interview yet, but I interviewed, again, my friend Chinmay. He's the president of the Cumberland Valley Science Olympiad team, quite popular in the Science Olympiad community, as I understand. And I interviewed him. And one of the questions I asked for Cumberland Valley that I put together was, what went wrong at MIT? And right when I said that, he said, nothing. Nothing went wrong at MIT. And I think the way that I phrased that question was misguided on my part. Because I interpreted this result as Cumberland Valley's purpose at this tournament to compete, to do well, to prove, to Harriton and, Mason and all these competitive teams that Cumberland Valley is extremely competitive this year. That is what I thought their goal was at this tournament. But after talking to Chinmay, he made some good points. He said, this is Cumberland Valley's first time going to MIT, right? Like Solon, they've been around the block. They've been here for 5 years now. 5 years, including this year. So they know what they're doing at this tournament. And they'll know what they're doing at States because they've been to States for, the past 10 years, right? They know how to compete at certain tournaments. And this was the first time at MIT. They didn't really know how to compete here. The other thing that Chinmay said that was really informing for me was, like I said, their goal was not to necessarily do well. He put it excellently. Medals are just a bonus. Trophies are just a bonus. The goal at MIT was to learn. The goal at MIT for Cumberland Valley was to see what events they needed to work on, to compete against the highest level, to see what they're struggling on nationally. And that will tell them what they're struggling on at the state level and help them to beat Lower Merion and contest Harriton. And considering the fact that that was the goal, not to do well necessarily, that would just be a bonus. It would have been nice, but to learn. And judging by their performance from Solon, that is exactly what happened. They learned from their mistakes at MIT. They applied them at Solon, and the results speak for themselves. Maybe Cumberland Valley not quite ahead of Stevenson and Carmel, but beating New Trier. Again, not an insignificant margin here. And again, New Trier, Cumberland Valley, both stacked. No super score interpretations, nothing like that. And at MIT, again, New Trier, one of these teams that just beat Cumberland Valley by, that's almost a 200-point margin, and then Cumberland Valley coming back here and beating New Trier by a pretty significant margin. So I think Cumberland Valley really took away lessons from MIT. They learned a lot, like their goal was to learn, and they applied them here at Solon, and the results speak for themselves. So I'm running out of time. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe and like the video, and I will see you in the next one. Have a great day.